am Taylor Perky and I work for Saco Industries Inc. this past summer. Saco Industries is a cabinet manufacturer that specializes in kitchen and bathroom cabinets for multifamily housing. These are places such as resorts, apartments, dorms, and assisted living facilities. They use a variety of wood and finishes to make cabinets individual to every project. In my time working for this company, I worked on approximately 16 to 20 projects from takeoff to submittals. I had 4 main responsibilities during my time at Saco Industries. These were plan takeoff, CAD 2020 design, plan review, and revisions on past projects. With each of these responsibilities, there were specific steps to follow, unique to its own portion of my job. The start of every project that came across my desk was the takeoff. I had to read every portion of the hard copy plans and determine the page each of the needed items were on. The needed items were instructions about the size of ovens and how high the handicap unit cabinets were. These required snapshots of elevations and floor plans for each unit. It also required snapshots of overall floor plan per floor. The next step was to make a matrix of the units based on the unit types. I had to determine if the unit count from the bid department was correct and how many of each unit type there were. This required me to also find the unit types that were the same or just mirrored, and the unique unit types that would need their own different layout. CAD 2020 design started with determining the proper cabinets that go in each area. This needed the proper units and unit checks. I also needed the dimensions and cabinets to determine fillers because each job was either standard overlay, which is 3 inches of total filler between wall and cabinets, or full overlay, which is 6 inches of total filler. Filler could range from being an end panel to being a filler that gave the cabinet more stability. Each type of filler had its own use and could not be exchanged for another type of filler. The program CAD 2020 has the company's product list and specs installed into it. This allows for CAD designers, which was my job title, to easily place which product went where and had specific dimensions attached to the product. This program could also render elevations based on the products used. The image on the right of the slide shows an example of a drawing that can be made using this software. The program has generic catalogs and tools to make more accurate elevations and layouts. Plan review was the last step before taking the layouts to become submittals, which are the layouts that are submitted to the client for review. My checklist was that I would triple check the dimensions and even had my boss check a few that were vague and within the plans. I checked that I followed overlay rules and that the proper fillers were used, and checked the cabinet names to ensure that the product list would be correct. I also checked the list of additional parts that I would write on every layout to determine number of items needed, which included the fillers and panels, etc. I also would check the proposal to see if I needed to include any notes to the layouts as well as the additional parts that clients sometimes requested. The final step was to sort the layouts and elevations in order to make it easily followed and submit them to my boss. My final responsibility was revisions. Sometimes submittals would be returned from the client asking for specific items to be changed within the layouts. My process began with marking up the old submittals and determining where the changes were to be made. I would then make the changes and create a spreadsheet listing what was changed. I would then submit them for reapproval from my boss. The greatest lesson I learned when working for Saco Industries was how to communicate effectively and efficiently with colleagues and clients. I believe that my greatest triumph was when the first set of submittals that I did on my own needed minimum correction before they were sent to the client. My largest challenge in this position was reading the quotes and interpreting them to determine which cabinets I needed to put in the layouts. Looking back, I wish I knew more about the company and about how to use the program before I started. However, I learned a lot, and I can't wait to use what I learned in future jobs.